Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Larry Holder joins us, theathletic.com/New Orleans, on Twitter at Larry Holder. How are you, man?
I'm good, Matthew. How are you today?
Well, okay, thank you. But I did notice the Saints are working out Brett Maher, they're re-signing him, who they already cut, and they're working out Jalen McCleskey. And so I came to the realization that Brett Maher and Jalen McCleskey are the Saints' only hopes, and I got really sad today.
Well, I can't really help you there because unfortunately they're playing the kicker carousel. And we're back at what is, I guess he would be square three of the hierarchy of kickers that the Saints have had so far this year. And then, Jalen McCleskey, he was with the Saints during training camp, and I think that just goes to show you where they are. And I don't know how much words of encouragement I have for you, just because it's. Where do we turn? Like, Odell Beckham was the hope, and that bombed out, and we are just where they are. Offensively, defense needs to play very well every week to give the Saints a chance, and it's going to be a tough road ahead, just for offense.
Remind us about McCleskey, for those that have forgotten. Give us a thumbnail on his background and what type of player he is.
Yeah, he's started out Oklahoma State, then transferred to Tulane and played for Tulane for a couple of years, and was never drafted, never really signed, and so the Saints kind of scooped him up during the off season as a training camp guy. I mean, look, he made some plays during training camp, but this is nothing that's going to come in and really make a major spark plug. I mean, he might join the practice squad. That's, to me, that's the level of where his ceiling really is. Lucky to make a 53-man roster. So it's not like this isn't Kenny Stills and this isn't Kevin White. And he is someone who is definitely unproven in the NFL. And to me, he may not even ever see the field if he even signs.
Could I make the case, given the fact that Deontay Harris may be suspended, that this is the speed threat on the field just in case Deontay Harris is suspended?
Well, that would probably be the type of player that you'd have there. I mean, he's not as fast as Deontay Harris, but maybe someone that you ponder moving up on a game day. I just don't see – I've done really not anything, say, in training camp on a consistent level for me to think, okay, he's going to play on a Sunday. Maybe he will, but I'm skeptical. And then maybe, say, if you're using a returner, you probably put Callaway back there, but I'm sure they probably want to play Callaway more and give someone else a chance to do that. So that might be it. Like, I'm not going to totally discount it, but I've never seen anything to me to prove that he would actually be able to make a 53-man roster.
Do you believe Brian Johnson will be kicking for the Saints Sunday in Philadelphia?
I really have a hard time seeing that. And Sean Payton was certainly emotional after the game. And when you lose by 2 and your field goal kicker misses 2 extra points, and again, it messes with the way he calls a game. I mean, he admitted that when Aldrick Rosas was the kicker and they cut him, but it messes with the way he calls a game because you can't trust a field goal kicker. And look, you're not going to have a guy you trust fully until Will Lutz comes back. So again, it's just another phase of this team where you're thinking, all right, I don't know what I'm going to see every week.
Larry Holder's with us on Twitter at Larry Holder. If there is one, there's plenty of positives actually. I mean, they were a breath away despite all their absences from beating the team with the best record in the AFC right now. But Mark Ingram broke the Saints' career rushing mark. And listen, I mean, Larry, whenever they re-signed him, I mean, I looked at his regression over the last 3 years and thought, I mean, this is a nice feel-good. I don't really know how he contributes. And he's found a little bit of a of a jolt here. I mean, he's having his best season in 3 years. Well, it's a very small sample, obviously, but do you think that this is sustainable for Mark Ingram for the remainder of the season?
I do, just because you're not going to ask him to probably play as many snaps when Alvin Kamara comes back, but still, I think he fits with what the Saints want to do. He knows the offense. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And look at the situations he went to. In Baltimore, they were definitely a running back by committee team. I mean, they were playing 3 running backs even when they signed him. And then he got phased out there. And then he goes to the Texans, and the Texans are a steaming pile of mess. So I think for this year, and he's under contract next year. I mean, they had to give him another year to actually make it work on the books. But still, I do think that this is something that he's a piece that not only I think he's sustain, like he has to, like they need him if they want to be successful. He has to be a piece. Like he was, to me, you couldn't get a wide receiver. At least you got a running back, and I still think he can play well. But again, it's something that if we're leaning on Mark Ingram at this point in the season and this point in his career, and he's the great hope, I think we're looking at some rough times moving forward.
Yeah, I certainly didn't want to come across saying he's the great hope. I just think that he has. You've seen some life, some jolt from Ingram in these couple of weeks. Any update on Alvin Kamara?
That's really kind of been. I think it has to come down to how he looks and feels going into practice this week. I mean, I think that there really hasn't been a set timetable from what I understand. So it wouldn't be a stunner if he came back this week. I mean, but still, they still got to take it easy with him, even though they desperately need him. You still got to take it easy with him because he's got so much wear and tear this season. I think that might have just been a byproduct that this was going to happen at some point. He's gotten so many more carries through the halfway point of the season than he's accustomed to getting. And so, but still, I think that it wouldn't stun me if he came back this week, but I don't think the Saints are going to rush him back. And the fact that he's not on IR, I think that's another good sign there.
Could you reference the piece that you did for The Athletic about running backs and where Kamara fits in?
Yeah, I wrote that last week, and it was really eye-opening. I didn't realize going into it what the results for someone like him would be. And his yards per carry are about 3.6, and there is a metric from NFL Next Gen Stats called efficiency, and it's basically how many actual yards does it take for you to get a yard on average. So say someone like Jonathan Taylor, it takes him about 3 yards of actual running to gain a statistical yard. And for Alvin Kamara, it's up to like 4.7, 4.8, and it's way too high. It means he's having to do too much and not get enough traction running the football. And then there's another metric of rushing yards that are expected. Basically, the good ones, the Jonathan Taylors, the Nick Chubbs have, say, 200 yards more than maybe what was expected. And this is also a next-gen stat. And Alvin Kamara is like negative 100 something. I don't remember right off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. And it's a rate that's one of the worst in the league. And it's basically because he's not being as productive. He's getting touches. And I think part of it is that he's being used too much with some of this, running the football. And he's not being as effective as a runner because teams are either keying in on him, offensive line, you name it. But his numbers are drastically different than what we've seen throughout his career. And the one factor to me is that he's getting too many carries. He has nearly 150 through having played 8 games. And the most he's ever had in a season is 191 in his career in the NFL. So he's on the verge of like 300 carries if he keeps going. That's not how Alvin Kamara is made, or I'm sure it's not how Sean Payton actually wants to use it.
Man, it has been a bizarre bubblegum and duct tape type season for the Saints because of all the injuries. Certainly to keep players, and they go to Philly, a place where they lost a year ago with Taysom Hill as the starter. Jalen Hurts, of course, had the nice day that day and beat the Saints, who were kind of shrieking at that point. How do they reverse that result this year, Larry? How do they go up to Philly and get a win? Because it really feels like they got to get this one, considering what they have ahead.
Yeah, just knowing the Eagles, they're running the ball really well. And at least the Saints, that's a strength, run defense. But I also think, if you remember back to last year's game, and Taysom Hill was the quarterback, when Philadelphia's secondary is intact, it's not an easy task. And Taysom Hill had trouble with it last year for a half, and then in the second half, their top three corners all went down, and Taysom was able to throw the ball a little bit better. But it's Darius Slay still playing pretty well up there, and Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to probably come into this game with some confidence. I think the key is the Saints have to actually score early as opposed to have to crawl back and try to come back late. I mean, they need to, score a couple of touchdowns in the first half. I mean, that sounds weird, like oddly low, but I mean, that hasn't happened. So I think that to reverse this, they've got to get faster start on offense, or it's going to be one of those, mid-20s kind of a game with the score, and the Saints are, if they're having to play catch up again. I mean, we've seen it hasn't worked out the last 2 weeks.
So yesterday we had your colleague at The Athletic, Catherine Terrell, on, and she kind of relayed her interaction with Sean Payton snipping at her on Sunday. Have you ever had, or what's your best Sean Payton yelling at you story?
Oh, well, he's called me and cursed me out many times.
I'm saying, what's the best? What's the best one?
I know there was one where, and he held it over my head for weeks. It was about I don't know if it's the best one, but it's a good one because he never let it go.
Okay.
About possibly trading Mark Ingram a few years ago when there was a report from CBSSports.com that said Mark Ingram could ask for a trade. I waited till after the game was over, after the press conference was over. I texted Sean, and he's like, "Oh no, we're not trading him." And then he calls me the next morning and he's yelling at me like, the world could end. He could ask for a trade. And he's going nuts on me. And I was like, dude, I didn't even do the report. I'm just asking you about it. And he's screaming at me. And then weeks later, the trade deadline comes, and then they'll make a move. And I wasn't at this press conference, but he kept saying, could. Where's Larry? He's like asking everyone during the press conference, where's Larry? So, but we've had some snippy moments. We've also had some fun moments too. So it's just part of the job, and there are definitely some other moments that have been fun, and other moments that have been not as fun.
Admit it. Showed the press conference, so he didn't yell at you.
No, I don't know why I didn't go.
So he didn't yell at you.
It doesn't bother me if he yells at me. I yell back. Hey, if the bully's coming at you bully the bully and they back down. So I've learned that with Sean Payton. Even though we have a good relationship, but at times we can be testy. I could tell you. When
did you yell back at him?
I yelled back at him within that trade scenario. I yelled back at him about. He came out of hiding during the bounty scandal when I had a report that Steve Spagnuolo should be fired, and he sent me a text that involved some expletives, and then I said, "All right, I'm going to run with this." And then he called me 15 minutes later, and we just not 15 minutes, 15 seconds later, he called me, and I was like, we was going back and forth, and of course, as soon as he got back to coaching. He fired him. So I was spot on.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.